Hello, how are you doing? I have a big, lovely new group of books to read, and I want to discuss why I'm so interested in all of these titles. Many of them have just been published in May, so they're hot off the press. Some of them publishers kindly sent me, and others I bought myself because I'm so keen on them, including this very first book, which I ordered all the way from America because it's not published here in the UK, and it's about my favorite author, Joyce Carroll Oates. So it is Letters to a Biographer, which has been compiled by Greg Johnson, because this is comprised of letters which Oates wrote to Johnson beginning in the mid-70s and going all the way to 2006. So spanning a long period of time and comprising the bulk of Joyce Carroll Oates' writing career. And after that time, I think they had a lot more emails back and forth, which were very short, but these were all written letters that Oates sent to Johnson over this period of time of when they became friends and collaborators, because as the title says, Greg Johnson is Joyce Carroll Oates' biographer. He wrote this wonderful biography about her life and her work called Invisible Writer, which is such a fascinating exploration of this incredibly prolific author's life and the immense artfulness of her work. And so yeah, I've read this multiple times. It's such a fascinating work, but I'm so eager to read these letters because I think it'll give a lot more like personal insight into her life and what is happening to her at different years and in different stages, and when she is working on particular projects throughout her life. So yeah, I'm so excited to read this. Next, there is the novel which I'm currently reading and which many people are reading and discussing, James by Percival Everett. I went to see him speak at a local library recently, interviewed by the author Caleb Azuma Nelson. It was such a fascinating discussion. I actually recorded the entire thing because I was sat in the front row, and so I thought, oh, why not turn my camera on and I'll record it in case there's any sections. And I've been contemplating whether I should like upload that entire interview. It's not the best sound, but yeah, they have a really interesting discussion, although I think Everett gives some kind of staple answers to questions that have been put to him a lot of times because he's been doing the whole interview circuit, been being asked the same questions, so it's only natural that he gives some similar answers. So if you don't know, this is his, Everett wouldn't really call it a retelling of Huck Finn. He says it's more an opportunity to tell this story from Jim's point of view. And so, yeah, I'm completely immersed in this story and really enjoying it. It has this wonderful satirical edge to it, while also getting at a lot of the real emotions of the situation and the time period, and looking at the racism and persecution that James was receiving under slavery, and following his journey. And yeah, I just reread Huck Finn recently, and so yeah, now to see this from Jim's point of view is so valuable and so necessary, and I'm so glad that this has come out. And yeah, now he's signed it to me. Dead Animals by Phoebe Stux. This is quite a short novel following a woman who wakes up after a party with bruises and scratches on her, and she can't recall a section of what happened to her at the party. And there's a man who attacked her, and she connects with another woman who also received an attack from this man. So it's about their plan and plot to get revenge upon him. It sounds like a really intense and meaningful story. Next, I have a couple of new Irish novels, and I'm not going to attempt to pronounce the authors' names because I usually get Irish authors' names wrong, but there's this new novel The Amendments, which follows a couple that are looking to have a baby, although they have very different feelings about this process. At first, I thought this novel was going to be kind of similar to the novel Boulder, but it goes back into the history and past of one of the woman's lives, looking at her family history and larger Irish history, and sort of delving into that past and how that's impacting upon the present. Then there is The Alternatives, which follows a group of Irish sisters who were orphaned at quite a young age and had to fend for themselves, but as they grew, they led very separate lives, and one of the sisters is a geologist who discovers some disturbing information about the Earth's possible future, and she goes missing. So the other sisters reunite to try to find out what happened to her, and in doing so, they pore over their past, but also consider what the future might bring. And also I love that the inside cover of this has this repeated sheep pattern. A really unique sounding novel is The Other Valley by Scott Alexander Howard, who is a Canadian writer, and this novel explores a town which is very remote and secluded, but borders a number of other towns, and these other towns are actually duplicates of this town, but set in different time periods. So there is no travel between these different towns except for groups of mourners who go to past versions of the town to see friends and relatives who are deceased. And so it's following the one such story of someone who spies someone that they learn has died and in the future. And so then it's about the crisis of can you change events to alter the future. Dog by Rob Perry. This is a novel about an 18-year-old man who is on a beach where he discovers a dog and there's no sign of the owners around. So he takes this dog into his care and takes him home, and someone tells him that this dog is the fastest greyhound in the country. So it's about the relationship between this young man and this dog over a period of time. And I've been told that you don't need to be a dog person in order to appreciate and enjoy this novel. I'm definitely not a dog person. I mean, I like dogs, but I never want to own one. And the people I know who own dogs, it is such a big responsibility that I just personally wouldn't want that responsibility. But yeah, I would enjoy reading about a dog relationship. The Human Origins of Beatrice Porter and Other Essential Ghosts by Soraya Palmer. And I thought at first, because of the title of this and the way it's structured, that this would be a group of short stories, but it is a novel. It's a debut novel about two sisters in Brooklyn whose parents, who are of Caribbean origin, they are separating. They're having a really difficult time, and the sisters are dealing with this in different ways, but they're also considering and processing these Anansi stories from the Caribbean that they were told when they were younger, and it's about these stories' impacts on their lives and how it sort of melds into their present day existence. I think this sounds fascinating. Some Strange Music Draws Me In by Griffin Hansbury. This is a novel about a character named Mel who's living a humdrum life in Massachusetts in the 1980s, but one day they encounter a very defiant trans woman named Sylvia, and through these interactions, Mel comes to terms with the fact that he's actually a trans man. So it's about this process of discovery and transformation, and I think this sounds excellent. There's an endorsement from the author James Hanaham, who's a really great writer, and he says, "This funny, defiant, and passionate novel will make you want to play Patti Smith's Horses at full volume. The coming-of-age, reckoning with gender story we've all needed for decades, the kind that can change and save your life. A really fun-sounding new graphic novel is When I Arrived at the Castle by Emily Carroll. This is a story about a woman who travels to a countess's castle, and many have gone here before to try to destroy the evil in this castle, but when she enters this castle, she gets involved with some of the vampires that reside there, and there are sexy happenings as well as very dark and twisted things going on. So I've read a graphic novel by Emily Carroll before and really enjoyed it, and so yeah, I'm just looking forward to this gothic story. A new novel by a very popular fantasy writer is The Familiar by Leigh Bardugo, and this is a story set in Madrid, I think a long time ago, following a woman of quite humble origins who wants to become famous and powerful, and so starts fraternizing with power-hungry nobility and desperate kings, and is able to use some magic and takes on a familiar to become even more powerful, but there are compromises that go along with this, so it's following that very dramatic journey. Next is a copy of the latest Granta magazine, and the theme for this is extraction, and so this is a collection of fiction and poetry and artworks. There's some new short stories by Camilla Gradova and Rachel Kushner, who has a new novel out later this year. But I also enjoy flipping through this to read some work by authors that I've not encountered before, to just have a taste of their work. Old Romantics by Maggie Armstrong. I was sent this proof copy of this new book, and this is a collection of interlinked short stories following a Dublin woman from early motherhood to more recent times and the pandemic, and focusing in particular on her many different romantic entanglements and all of the complications of that. And I often say that linked short stories is kind of my favorite form of book, because I like how you can see these isolated tales and incidents within a particular person's life, and how you get a different perspective on the same things. I mean, I've heard before that writers, when creating a novel, they'll think of particular scenes that they want to write, and these act as kind of like pawns, which then they have to link together to create a larger novel. And so I think this is how a lot of fiction is created. I mean, certainly not all fiction. I mean, I'm sure different novelists have different approaches, but yeah, I do like this kind of form of fiction. One Woman Crime Wave by B. Rowlatt. Again, I was sent this proof copy of this novel, which is about a 15-year-old girl who is very clever and very charming, and who's hired to be a babysitter for a number of people in this community, but she's also very curious about finding the secrets of the people in this community. So there's this tension about whether her motives are kind of sinister, or are there more sinister things going on in this community, and I'm keen to see how that's explored in this book. Also, I met this author, B. Rowlatt, at the last Booker Prize party. She was sat next to me at the dinner, and she was so lovely and engaging, and we had a really nice conversation. And she was also bold enough that when I said I was a fan of Western Lane by Chetna Maru, but I was too shy to go up and introduce myself to the author, she was like, no, you can't miss this opportunity, and so brought me over to the author's table, and so I got to meet Chetna Maru and have a lovely little chat with her, thanks to B. Rowlatt. So that was lovely, but I'm looking forward to reading this novel as well. And finally, there is a novel that I've been anticipating so much, because I loved this author's debut novel, Love After Love. It is another novel that has love in the title. It is The Lost Love Songs of Boysie, Singh by Ingrid Persaud. And yes, you do pronounce the D in Ingrid Persaud's name. And so this follows 4 different women in Trinidad whose lives are all connected by a gangster and man who's involved in a lot of crime called Boysie Singh. And so it follows their separate stories and separate perspectives and how they have to come together to try to overcome this very sinister man. And so I'm so interested to see how this story plays out. So those are all the new books that I have. Let me know if you have read any of these books, or if you're interested in reading any of them now, or if you have any suggestions of where you think I should start reading these books. I've already started reading James, but about the other books as well. And but I'd love to hear if you have any new books that you acquired recently and that you're looking forward to reading. Please let me know about that in the comments below. But I hope you have a lovely day and you get to some good reading, and I will speak to you again soon. Bye-bye.